All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is Tequila Transactions, episode 43. And we're here with the one, the only, with Goated Media, Moises himself. And more than anything, just want to say thank you guys for joining us and tuning in. It's been a journey. We're kicking off the new year's 2024. And I'm really excited to be here with Moises to, talk a little tequila, talk some business, and talk a little bit of real estate as well. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over the mic to him and let him introduce himself, and then we'll dive into some tequila tasting.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Of course, bro.
For the audience, my name is Moises. I run a marketing agency and company for like the last 3 years. Kind of how I started. I started in banking. From banking to actually buying my first property, and then that's exactly when I quit my job. Went all in with like Airbnb, I kind of transitioned to like the media company just because I was bringing a lot of traction from like YouTube and like Instagram, just from like posting on my Airbnb stuff. So it kind of like all made sense when it came down to the media company. I was already doing videography for like restaurants, and then everything just kind of just made sense.
Nice.
And then that's how I just pretty much just kept on scaling.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to touch on your company a little bit later and ask you a few questions on like your business and what you're doing. And I know you're doing some amazing things with realtors as well. And like, not just realtors, but a lot of working professionals and like just really helping them get their voice online. So if you guys haven't seen Moises' work, just look up Goated Media. He does some amazing stuff. We're partnering with him on a lot of things as well, and just he just has that eye for it. So yeah, without further ado, bro, this is Tequila Transactions. That's the main title. So I always like to bring a little something interesting on the show, and today we're actually going to be doing a little bit of comparing, a little taste testing. I always like to bring on a bottle from Mexico and also a bottle from here, and kind of let you taste the difference, and I get a little bit of your feedback on what you think. I always tell people on the show too, if it doesn't have a seal, it's no deal. So like as you see right here on this one, we got the seal of approval right here, the stamp from Mexico. Pretty much means that they paid the taxes on the bottle to be able to sell it in Mexico, right? But that seal of approval means everything. This one's actually 35% alcohol, and the US version is 40%. So 5% alcohol difference, and it's not over.
There is a difference.
There's a huge difference.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. So same bottle, right? Almost the same exact bottle, almost same tequila, but the difference is the alcohol content. So
interesting.
And that 5% means everything. It comes down to flavor, just being able to enjoy the tequila itself. And like to be honest with you, it's night and day. We actually got to go to Jose Cuervo this last year and do some taste testing. And then Jose Cuervo is actually the owner of Maestro Dobel.
Wow. This is one of your favorites?
This is one of my favorites. Yeah, they actually one of the main ones that started Cristalinos. And a Cristalino essentially is a distilled aged tequila. So what they're doing is pretty much, once they're done with the aging process, you usually get a really rich, dark tequila because it's been usually fermented or aged in like barrels. So they'll put it in whiskey barrels, American oak. They have every tequila company has their own way of how they're going to age it, right? But when they're done, what they're doing is they're distilling it, removing the color and some impurities and imperfections, and you're left with this really clear tequila. It's not a joven tequila or a blanco, as some people will call it, or silver. Some people even call it silver, right? Very different tastes. If you really like the taste of tequila, like a really kind of strong, notes of tequila, I always say go with the silver. Okay. Or a joven, because you're really going to have all that tequila taste to it, that agave taste. This is for people who are, a little bit more on the whiskey side. They like the bourbon, they like the scotches, a little bit more of that oakiness, right?
Like last year I got really into, well, not really into it, but more like whiskey.
Yeah.
But I started off like, my younger years growing up, it was all...
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything, right?
It gets me drunk, I guess.
Yeah, for real. And then obviously as you get older, you start kind of defining what you do like and don't like, and kind of start steering your, in certain directions. But if you're into whiskeys, I would definitely try more añejos. Okay. Like an añejo or an extra añejo, because they've been aged longer in those barrels. You're gonna get that oaky flavor. So for me too, like I love whiskey. I like scotch. I like all that stuff. Oh, wow. So that's why I tend to go more to the darker
Have you ever
tequilas.
Heard of Flor de Caña?
Hell yeah.
That's probably
hell yeah. I got some in
really?
Hell yeah. I got the 12 and the 18 at the house right now. So the 18 is tasty, bro. It's like very smooth. It's sweet.
I probably tasted Flor de Caña maybe like 5 years ago, and I never really gave it a chance again. But I mean, obviously it's from Nicaragua, so I feel like I have to one day.
You got to, bro. It's more, obviously it's more on the sweeter side, but it's super, super nice.
Yeah.
Actually, on one of the shows a few episodes ago, my boy Elisad, who's also part of Nora, he brought on the Flor de Caña. He's like, oh, bro, I'm gonna switch it up, bro. We're gonna be tasting some Flor de Caña today. So we actually were drinking tequila, and then we made our way into Flor de Caña. So it was nice. It was nice because it's sweeter, so it kind of like gives you that little bit of a like dessert kind of after drink kind of thing. But but yeah, this is interesting because it still kind of has that oakiness, refined kind of taste, but it's super, super smooth because they've distilled it one last time. But I would say, like you said, you like whiskeys, bro. Definitely go for the extra añejos for the añejos because you get that oakiness, and it's very, very similar to like a nice scotch, a nice whiskey. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna have you taste a little bit, bro. You're gonna tell me what you like, what you don't like. I'm gonna give you a little taster of each one. We're gonna start with the US version, not because it's the best, but because I really want you to taste what is sold here and kind of like the product that's out here first, so you can kind of distinguish the difference between them both. Because once you try that Mexico one, you're never gonna want to go back, bro.
Oh, really?
Nah.
Okay.
And yeah, it was cool because we have a yearly golf tournament in Mexico. We're actually going to be leaving in a couple weeks. Ashley and I are going to be going. We're going to have like a 3-day trip in Guadalajara. We literally show up on a Thursday. Friday's all like hanging out, dinner. Saturday we golf, and then Sunday we go to Tequila. And last year we went actually to Jose Cuervo's distillery, and people don't know that Jose Cuervo is kind of like the grandfather.
Oh, okay.
Like they're like the what do you call it? Like the Time Warner, like the
Do you feel like Jose Cuervo has a bad name?
Yeah, especially here. Especially here because
I feel like I see it as like a cheap brand.
Exactly.
But I mean, I feel like.
But you guys also understand, like, their name's on everything.
Yeah.
They're like the Coca-Cola.
There's a lot more to it.
Dude, it's crazy because you really don't comprehend it until you actually go and see it, like in real life in Mexico, because Jose Cuervo has it's like when you think of tequila, you think of Jose Cuervo because it's on every shelf, it's at every store. Will I drink that shit? Hell no, especially not out here.
Alcohol.
Especially not out here. But I'll be honest to tell you, like what you drink here is not the same out there. It's the alcohol content. As soon as it crosses the border, they're able to max it out at 40% alcohol content. So that's why everything's 40% here.
I see.
So they increase the alcohol content, but bro, it's different in quality. It's like the taste kind of gets, I mean, I would say more the flavor kind of gets drowned out by all the alcohol. So but yeah, Jose Cuervo definitely has a bad name out here. If you go to Mexico, like 1800 in Mexico is candy, dude. Hella good.
I just tried that
1800
sometime last year. I was like,
candy,
bro, I could drink this like all day.
You can't drink it here though. They'll get 1800 out here though, but 1800 from Mexico is candy. It's inexpensive. It tastes hella good.
When I tasted it, I thought I had the same perception of Jose Cuervo and 1800.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like American though, like shelf. Like I'm like, damn, this stuff is nasty.
And they rebranded it too, because like before it used to be Jose Cuervo 1800. You remember that back in the day?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it used to be Jose Cuervo 1800, and now they rebranded just to be like 1800 to kind of be its own line.
Interesting.
And not have that Jose Cuervo name, because I guess I don't know if it was for sale purposes.
It's like the square bond.
Yeah.
With a little bit of bumps and stuff.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that one they've kind of rebranded it, and it was more, I think, more so just for marketing purposes, because I don't know if it maybe wasn't as popular, but now they kind of rebranded it. And yeah, dude, out there in Mexico, like that's the go-to. If you're getting a Cristalino, or even if you're getting their Añejo, the Añejo's candy too, bro. But yeah, like that's one of, Ashley and I love 1800 Cristalino.
Okay.
That's like our shit. The one you said with the bumps on it.
Yeah.
The bottle looks cool. It's tasty. Yeah, man, I've partaken in many shots out of that bottle for sure, but this one's gonna be
a little brutal.
It's definitely gonna open up your senses a little bit.
Okay.
But the way I would recommend drinking it is before you take the shot, try to take a little inhale through your nose and hold it. Drink the tequila, or put the tequila in your mouth. Let it hang out on your tongue a little bit, swallow the shot, and then exhale through your mouth while holding the air in. So it's a little interesting. And the reason for that is kind of preparing your palate and you're inhaling a little bit of air with the kind of the fumes. You're preparing your senses with the fumes of the tequila. So all the alcohol kind of vapors that are coming out right now, like as we aerate this, you know, a little bit of alcohol is being dispersed into the air. So when you smell it, hold it in, drink, or like put it in your mouth, hold it. I say like 3 seconds, swallow it, exhale. You're gonna be able to taste it a lot more. Okay. And you're not really gonna get that huge like burn, or like it's a little hard to master, but when you do it right, it makes it all the difference. And then we'll apply that same technique with this one, and it's gonna really allow you to distinguish them both. So okay. Without further ado, bro, cheers. Cheers.
Yeah, appreciate. You know what? That wasn't bad.
Right? It's not too bad.
I don't even get a chaser.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
I'm only doing this because I want to wash it out, right?
That was not bad though.
It's a really good tequila though.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a really good tequila. Like I said, they're the kind of the originators that started out doing this cristalino thing. And this is actually their this is actually considered a reposado. So what they did is they started mixing different tequilas. They're known for that. They're known for like, they were mixing different tequilas, doing like a mezcla. And then they decided to distill it. So this is not all reposado, but it's a majority reposado. They do put a little bit of their añejo in here, but they were kind of the vision behind it was to create a more enjoyable tequila. And then they kind of started it out, and then Don Julio came out with Don Julio 70, which fucking took off.
That's one of my favorites.
But it's hell expensive now. It's hard to find. In Mexico, it's so fucking expensive. Like, everything's gone extremely expensive.
Like US prices, right?
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah, because the demand is super, super high, and everything is getting sent out here.
Bro, I mean, maybe I was because I was in a populated area, but when I went to Playa del Carmen.
Yeah.
Bro, yeah, like the 70 bottle was like, it's about almost $100. So like $70 or something. Yeah. I'm like, there's the same thing here in Oakland.
Yeah, but the bottles is so much different because I think it's the same thing. I think it's 35 there and 40% here as far as alcohol content goes. But it's candy, bro. When it first came out, people super drinking it like water because it was so freaking good. It's fell off a little bit. It's fallen off a little bit. It's not as good, I think, as it was a few years ago when they first came out. But it's super enjoyable, and Don Julio 70 took it by storm. The bottle looks classy, and it's been a top seller for many years. You know, right now in the US, tequila and also now Modelo, you know, everything's #1 as far as spirits go. So Mexico has the #1 beer in the world, or in the US now, and tequila is now the #1 imported alcohol into the United States.
You know what? Funny story. So when I was in Indonesia, I went to try to get a tequila bottle. It was the Blanco little circle one.
Yeah, Don Julio.
Bro, $400 for that bottle. Import prices.
Jeez.
Bro, what's that? The one that makes the bell?
Oh, the Glass Azul.
It was like $1,500.
Oh my God.
In a regular convenience store. Obviously, they had like their tequilas and they're more like vodka. But obviously, I was trying to get something that I know, like, what I like. And like, damn, I haven't drank tequila in like over a year. So like right now, I'm like, oh, like, damn. But yeah, when I was in Indonesia, those prices are marked up like crazy.
I heard Hawaii too. Hawaii, I mean, they're importing Hawaii. Hell expensive.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Iceland's super expensive. Yeah. But they all have their imports, especially Iceland. Iceland's still by itself in between like Europe and us.
Right.
So it's kind of like they always have to import everywhere.
Exactly.
And they just have their own little. I know they have like the proper 12 or something, but what's that? What's that?
Whiskey.
Whiskey. Yeah.
Whiskey. Yeah.
That's one of my favorites too. The McGregor, right?
McGregor's. Yeah.
I tried it, bro. I was like, wow. This stuff is
it's pretty good, but I've always liked what's the other Irish one that's hella popular? Not Jameson. Yeah, Jameson. I've always liked Jameson because it's classic.
It's like an OG brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Proper 12 is cool. You know, I don't hate on Conor McGregor. I think he did a good job with it. But I'm not gonna really gravitate towards that too much unless it's more of the holidays. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get a little bit of whiskey, toss it in my eggnog or something or whatever. But tequila for me has always been my go-to, and it's kind of something I've always tried to like, obviously open up my palate to different things and kind of try different brands, right? These are always ones that I always kind of gravitate more towards, and it's because it's more enjoyable.
Yeah, I can tell.
And like I said, if I'm not drinking a Cristalino, I'm drinking more añejos just because that's me. I like that oakiness.
Are you more of a cocktail guy, or you take shots, or like kind of just chilling?
No, I'm chilling, dude. I do something called the Paloma Muerta or a Paloma Negra, and what I do is some people call it campechana. In Mexico, they call it. There's a lot of other ways that they call it, but essentially what it is I do tequila and sparkling water. Sometimes just like that, because I want to be able to still taste the tequila.
Yeah. I'm always drinking with sparkling water.
And I'm not trying to like overload myself with hella sugar and drink. Some people do like cantaritos, or they'll do like shit, I'm already losing my palomas, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot of sugar. Like you're doing juice, you're doing squirt, you're doing this, you're doing that. Sometimes when the reason why I call it Paloma Negra is I do a little splash of Coke. And the reason why I do that is because it adds a little bit of sweetness, adds a little bit of color. But usually I'm just literally going sparkling water, tequila, and that's it. Like I'm not trying to get too fancy.
Have you ever tried it with like a Diet Coke, or like a diet anything, or 0-calorie drink? They say that you get it hits you faster.
Really? No wonder I get so drunk.
Anything diet product?
Yeah.
With alcohol, 10x.
Because usually I'm doing sparkling water, and then I'll Diet Coke splash.
They say that because
that's probably why.
Diet, you get a little bit more drunker. That's all. I mean, I saw it on TikTok.
Explains a lot of things. No, that's hella interesting. I didn't know that. But no, I really don't try to dilute it too much. Like people, you know, if you would have asked me this like 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be taking shots all day.
Correct.
Or I'll be, you know, drinking it with straight squirt and whatever, right? But obviously as you get older, you get wiser, hopefully. And, you know, to try to save myself from being miserable the next day. I always try to drink something good, something I know that I'm not going to wake up with a hangover. I'm drinking this, especially for Mexico. If I'm drinking this with sparkling water and I'm being responsible, at least having some water throughout the night, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to wake up like a champ. But if I'm straight drinking it like shots, especially if I'm drinking US shots, it's tough, man. The alcohol, that extra 5% makes a huge difference. So let me go ahead and pour this one in for you, bro. You're going to tell me, because now that we've kind of let that shot settle. And then check the difference out too. Like this one, you pop it open.
Okay.
And this is just you're straight pouring it, right?
Okay.
But in Mexico, they got this little interesting little contraption here. It's what they do is they put like a little pebble, not a pebble, like a little ball in here, in this little plastic kind of filtration system.
Kind of how it is like at the bars and stuff.
Exactly. So what you're doing is that ball's helping with the pour, so you're not pouring the whole freaking bottle in there. So watch, it's just easier pour. Easier to control, kind of just much easier to measure out shots or drinks or anything. And back in the day, we used to freeze these things. We had to freaking like pump that bottle hella hard to just because this little ball will get stuck. But 9-day difference, bro. So we're gonna do the same thing. Breathe in through your nose. And I poured you a little bit extra just because it's that
smoother.
It's that good. So
I'll do it.
Cheers, bro.
Oh, yep. I'm gonna do it.
Different, huh?
Yeah, it is different. Wow.
I feel like that.
They're both not bad though. Like,
no.
They both have.
No. I could drink both. I'll drink both.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you know, you put this at the table, I'm gonna drink it, no matter if it's from here or from Mexico. But that extra 5% is not really gonna get you that much drunker. It's not about that. I think more for me at the end of the day, it's like
how it's made,
the taste of it, how it's made, just enjoyability of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I can drink that all day and not be, you know, and not really be worried about anything, you know, and be able to enjoy it. Has a good taste. It's super smooth. So, you know, this one's good too, bro. Like it's not terrible, but that one's just that much smoother. And I feel like you don't get that huge kind of like alcohol finish. Yeah. This one you get a little bit more of that alcohol finish. It feels kind of a little bit like it kind of lingers on your mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
This one just clean, like nice kind of taste in the beginning, little bit of the alcohol, and it just kind of filters away, which is nice. But that's the crazy thing, bro. Like all the bottles you see here, just imagine how much better they taste and make, because it's a little bit less alcohol content. It's local. They're making it there. It's like, it's super accessible, and especially like I'm like super fucking biased, and at the same time I'm very, very privileged, because where my family's from is Jalisco. So like we're tequila's grown.
Oh god.
Yeah, so that's where tequila's grown. So like I always tell people, like, just imagine like when you drive into Napa and you're like seeing all these hills with vineyards. As soon as you drive into Jalisco, it's like hills with agave everywhere, because that's the cash crop, man. That's where everyone, like, you're either building or you're growing agave. That's what's going to make you money on your land out there right now, because real estate's booming, and also tequila's booming.
Is that what they do, tequila tasting?
Yeah, so like
I see them on Instagram all the time.
So like literally for us, like we're about an hour and a half from the centro of tequila.
Yeah.
But there's so much other distilleries around that area, and if you're in Jalisco, you're allowed to grow agave and distill it and call it tequila. There's some areas of Michoacan as well. There's some areas of some surrounding cities around Jalisco that you're still kind of in that zone.
Yeah.
But you have to be within that zone to be able to call the alcohol tequila. If not, it has to be called, it's like licor de agave, or they call it a bunch of other things, like, you know, but they're not able to call it tequila per se. And the crazy thing is too, like a lot of people don't know this, they're doing a lot of growing here in California now. And so it's gonna saturate the market. But again, there's not enough supply for demand right now. Like, and people sometimes don't realize that for us to get this bottle, bro, it took 8 years at least. 8 to 10 years, because the agave matures between, you know, 6 to 8 years, and by the time that agave is ready to be made into tequila, by the time this bottle gets here, this is probably in a barrel, I would say maybe 6 to 8 months, and then they distilled it and sent it out and bottled it. So yeah, I mean, before we got to, I mean, this was, and they usually put the,
yeah, I think I seen
they
that
usually
put
it on, no, maybe they put it on this one, and the Mexico one, they actually put the, so yeah, they bottled this one May 2020. I think we're here to this area here. So they bottled this one May 2020.
Fecha, it says 2027 though.
Huh. This one says blended by Alejandro, ranch date. It says 2027.
You know what? I think I'm reading it wrong though. Or no. No, look.
Interesting. That's an interesting thing that they put 2027 on there. But yeah,
you know, I mean, the dates are different out there, but I'm not, well, still, it just says May.
Yeah, it says May 2027. I don't know why. I mean, it's a misprint or something, but yeah, I mean, for this bottle to hit this table, it's been 8 to 10 years. And people don't know that's why, you know, they're starting to grow agave in California now, because there's so much fucking demand.
Makes sense.
And you know, there's so much land in Mexico, right, to grow it. And you're talking about, by the time they plant it to the time they're able to actually pull it out the ground, you're talking about, you know, 6 to 8 years. And then from there, it's about if they're going to age it or not. And then when they age it, you're talking about it's in the barrel for either 6 to 8 months. It's either like 4 to 6 months for a reposado, and then like 6 to 8 months up to 10 months for an añejo. And then extra añejos are in there from 11 to 13, 14 months, sometimes 2 years. So sometimes, like, if you got an extra añejo, bro, it's been taking maybe anywhere between 10 to 12 years for you to get your hands on it. So it's a long process for sure, but definitely it's a very interesting process at the same time. But you know, it's not like you can just go and get whiskey from corn right away. Like, you know, sometimes they obviously, like, some whiskeys are aged too, but like this process is a lot longer. So that's why they're starting to grow stuff in the US. They've already started to grow a lot of different agave right by the border in Texas as well, in Texas. And that's more for like mezcal. And so mezcal is like the OG, like, indigenous way of making alcohol out of agave. And so mezcal's a lot different, very different taste and profile, super smoky. I'm a fan of mezcal. I don't love mezcal, but I'm a fan of it. I'm gonna always gravitate towards this for sure, though.
Sometime last year, I was working with a mezcal brand. But yeah, they're actually blowing up right now. They actually started making a wine. I'll give you some. Actually, I have like maybe about 10 bottles at home.
Okay.
So before
Nice, hell yeah.
I'll
love me some wine too.
But yeah, one of our clients, he opened up a tequila, but it was a mezcal. So very smoky. I know he was making me some drinks, and it was just that aftertaste for me just wasn't really it.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea.
Right.
But I can see this. It's probably a very niche
Yes.
clients for them. And maybe a little older crowd is what I noticed.
Yeah. I mean, you're starting to see more young people get into it too. It's all definitely on your flavor profile, right?
Correct.
Everyone's palate's different. Everyone's different, right? So
he got raised wherever he was building that, so it's probably like he was what he was used to.
Yeah,
so like that was my first time, so I was like, oof, this.
Yeah, and that's more like southern
and it kind of
Mexico.
stays on you. And you're blowing, it's like, damn, like this.
Well, it's higher alcohol content. It's higher alcohol content. And then what they really, I went to Oaxaca a couple of years ago, and we got to do tours for mezcal. And what they tell you is that, it has a high alcohol content, so you gotta kind of have to aerate it like wine.
I see.
So what they tell you is like really kind of like pour it, like when you're pouring it, kind of really pour it high and let that alcohol really hit the air and oxygenate it, because there's a lot of alcohol that gets what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of alcohol, the vapors that kind of like disperse there, and like you gotta kind of just aerate it more than anything, because you want it to get oxygenated and kind of like let those alcohol vapors kind of evaporate more than anything. And that's what people don't know. Sometimes they'll pour it, like just literally pour mezcal into like a drink or into a shot glass, and they'll just boom hit it. But you got to really kind of like let that alcohol aerate to really get a good taste. But it's an acquired taste. You got to really like it. I've had it like with more citrus, and it's good. It's refreshing, but you got to be cool with that smoky flavor, because it lingers.
Correct.
Hella lingers. Hella lingers. So
yeah, even in mixed drinks, like it makes an impression.
For sure. So what do you think, bro? Mexican or American?
I don't know. I think for me it was very even. But I feel like I'm gonna have to go with Mexican. Like it's just I just have to.
You don't have to. I mean,
the thing is, like,
you gotta do what you like, right? Everyone's different, so.
And the thing is, it was for me, it was so even. But I just know that when you talk about quality and like what they're doing out there versus like what US is doing, I'm always gonna go for somewhere else.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's not a bad acquired taste. But like when we're talking about the 1800s, this one, like anything, just stamp related, in any other bottle, this is the first time I ever feel like a bottle's like, damn, they're both great. But usually like the 1800s, the Don Julios and all that,
right,
you have to go stamp, because you're getting that like nasty bitter taste. Like you're in high school, you're trying to get a bottle, and then you're trying to drink it like, you're drinking anything that's alcohol,
For real.
That's what it feels like.
For real. That's exactly
this is great.
Yeah, so tequila's like wine, right? So obviously an acquired taste, and the cool thing about like wine and tequila, as we talked about, is like with wine you have Cabernet Sauvignon, you have Merlot, you have Chardonnay, and with tequila it's kind of the same thing. There's a little something for everybody's palate, so you just kind of have to really go out there and just try different things and find the right one for you. So, but yeah, I mean, this is always one of my go-tos. I'm always going to kind of gravitate towards Cristalinos, just because over the years it's gotten more popular, right? It's kind of the newest and greatest thing out there. It's super enjoyable to drink, as we come to find out today. So, but yeah, bro, I mean, now let's, trying to pivot back into business and talking like real estate and everything like that. And, more so for you, like I know you touched on a little bit earlier, but like, I know that we got introduced to my girlfriend because you guys were working at Chase together. But how did they all start? Like, did you just pick up a camera, or how did it all kind of just go about? Because I know that, you kind of took it from, just doing some media stuff to now just creating a whole media company. So how did that all kind of branch out and start?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole entrepreneur mindset came in high school, actually.
Yeah.
So my first business ever was I started a condom business.
Oh shit.
And so it was funny because I kept this so professional. But in high school, pretty much how everything started, I used to go to Planned Parenthood. I used to get 100 to 200 condoms, take it back home. And I used to create these little like covers because people used to put condoms in their wallet all the time.
Yeah.
And it was always a bad thing to do. Yeah. And so I used to make these covers where like I put like a little label in front of it. And when you open it up, it will say like a little slogan like no glove, no love, or wrap your willy, don't be silly. But also too at the bottom, it will have 3 phone numbers. So it was like in case of like you need to get in contact with somebody. Planned Parenthood's phone number, and then like any like it was one of their doctors also phone numbers. Sure. People can just call just in case. But pretty much the way I was going, the approach of it was pretty much to help people practice safe sex. Because obviously you're not going to stop teenagers from having sex. So it's like more of like, well, it's going to happen regardless. So how can we at least be safe about it? And that was just my whole model about behind it.
So you went out and bought condoms, or how'd you go?
No, he's like, yeah. So no, Planned Parenthood will give you free condoms. Yeah, so free condoms. So that obviously they had to pay. The only thing when it came down to like material costs and all that was just like either the paperwork, ink, or the cardboard. And other than that, and then obviously my time went around high school and selling. And then obviously like I'll have like peak season when it came out to like proms or dances and stuff like that. But you know, it was an extra $100 a week sometimes. And you know, I was working.
That's not bad.
Bro, I was working at McDonald's, you know, getting paid $7.75 an hour. I had a rodeo Zuzu gas guzzler. It was like 8 miles per tank to the gallon. Like, bro, I did not need that car at 15 years old, but it's like it's the only car I had, and it's like, you know, I got to make it work. I need to make some extra money. But that's how everything kind of started. And then I met some guys that were in the marketing business for restaurants, but I didn't like the concept how they did their things. It wasn't really based on building relationships with business owners. And so when I started getting into, like when I started dabbing into the whole restaurant business, like we'll create like secret menus, things like that. We'll like like sometimes we'll walk into a restaurant, let's say they have like over 100 items. In order for them to work with us, we have to drop the item list at 30. Because sometimes I see menus, and if it's too many things, it's a red flag in my eyes. Because there's no way you can have fish, red meats, chicken, and like other different types of proteins, and it's like you're selling that every single day. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it was kind of like, how can we minimize this item? There's like all these menu items, and give it, and then have like a secret menu, kind of like the In-N-Out style, and simplify the whole menu. When you simplify the whole menu, it's like going to like Tacos El Paisa or something. Like they just tell me what meats you want, and you want everything on there. Simple. But that's how our concept was to make the menu as simplified as possible, kind of like an In-N-Out style, and create a secret menu. Just so that the business owners would understand that the secret menu will only be online, and that's how we will track our sales, or that's how we will track, you know, metrics and stuff like that. But you know, over the years, you know, I kind of developed like a platform, so I'm able to track all these things. And that's I got into like I got into Chase. After Chase, and this is how I actually quit my job. So at Chase, I met. Have you ever played the game Clash of Clans? So Clash of Clans. The owner of Clash of Clans was like one of the CEOs or something like that. And he was one of my clients at Chase. And he was buying a building. So he was doing like some wires every week of like $3 or $4 million. Actually, I forgot how much it was, but I know it was in the millions. And I had to go through obviously his like, you know, his statements and make sure everything was good. Because during that time at Chase, anybody that does a wire after $1 million, you need to get like a branch or a manager approval and stuff. And so I remember I was just chopping up with this guy, and I was just waiting for my manager. And I was like, bro, like, I don't mean to be in your business, but I was like, how are you getting these $40 million deposits? He got a $19 million deposit or something like that, 17 to like $20 million deposit from Apple Store, and then another like 15 to 20 million from Play Store. And I'm like, bro, where are these deposits? Like, what? Who are you? You know? And I told him, like, no disrespect, I'm just, you know, I just started I bought a camera recently, and I'm starting my own business. I'm making some money on the side, but obviously it's not the same as what I'm making at Chase yet. But I was just pretty much asking for some advice, and he's the reason like why I quit Chase, because pretty much he was just telling me his story and how he went all in. It's like, if you're already in a position of work, being lost because you're not available, then that means you need to, you know, focus on that. And you say, you know what, like it's time to let go. And that's how pretty much everything started. After that, I bought a property, quit my job, and I started the whole Airbnb business. And that's how pretty much how I transitioned from restaurants. COVID happened, and then I transitioned to people. And your girlfriend was actually one of the first people that actually took their headshots when I first bought a camera. And so, but I was just learning. I never really considered myself like a videographer or photographer. I was just more of like, I was just trying to know things on different categories. So like a little bit of sales, a little bit of videography, photography, a little bit of like just processes and like operations. But obviously as I started scaling and started doing like more like management and made a subscription business, that's where things really took off. And I was like, you know what, like I'm more of the brains of things, and I gotta have people to do all these things. And the way I just see things, like there's no way for you to grow if, you know, without a team. And and that's my model. Like there's no, like I would never be in this position if I didn't have a team that was helping me kind of just grow. And I think that's what a lot of people fail when it comes down to like leadership and stuff, is that there's a difference between actually being a leader, and there's also a difference between being some type of like manager, right? And you telling just people what to do versus like you are just actually just leading the pack is like a whole different story. And that's where, I guess that's where like why my teammates were so like involved with like my vision, because I treated them like if they were the ones that helped me start up the business and everything. Even if they just started yesterday, like my vision was always in match with theirs. But yeah, that's how pretty much how I started the whole like the media company and stuff. And then obviously real estate came from Airbnb. I was just getting a lot of traction from Airbnb, just buying these 1-bedroom condos. I would never buy anything that was like a single family home, like more than 2-3 bedrooms, or like, you know, just the fat homes. My first investment was $155,000 for a condo. And that property alone on a slow season was bringing in anywhere between $4,000 to $6,000 a month. And then it was also in Arizona. Last year, we had the Super Bowl there, and one single bedroom property brought in $12,000, or $11,000 to $12,000. And we also manage a portfolio of like 17 other Airbnbs. And same thing with the other homes in Arizona. They're all just killing it during that time. But that was just how I kind of got into real estate, because it was just one of those things, like obviously I understand how real estate can change. Like how it can change your life in a way. Like I just recently just sold my own, and I'm dabbling into like other different investments, but I wouldn't be able to dabble into those investments if I didn't sell my home. You know, and obviously it's giving me more opportunities, and it's more leverage, and you know, I still have another home that I'll probably sell within like the next 3 to 4 years. My mindset when it comes down to buying homes also is like the investment properties that I do buy. And you know, there's this guy named Johnny. He's super smart. This guy Johnny put me on game when it came down to like buying property. And it's like he sells his homes every 5 years, and he only buys in California. I don't like to buy in California because like the tenant laws, but it's also because I was in Airbnb. Maybe the long term, you know, maybe I'll kind of get into that. But he sells his homes every 5 years, and his rule of thumb is because real estate increases about 5% each year. Suppose that's kind of like the rule of thumb. You know, but from 2020 to now, it was more than that, right? But that can happen. But usually the rule of thumb is you sell your property at a 35% markup, like already when it was already up 35%. Whatever it is, that's the 5th-year mark. It's 5 years, every year you're selling the 35% mark, and then that's when you get into your next property. And then each year that you're buying that, eventually you get to a point where now you're selling the property each year, rather than like keeping the properties. And technically you're saying you have all this equity, but it's more of like the equity is not there until it's in your bank account. You got to kind of make that equity work for you. But that's more on the investment side. Obviously, if you're buying for long term, you have family, like, you know, keep the home and all that. You can always refinance. But you know, that's kind of like my style right now, is to buy a property every single year and then always sell the property at the 5th-year mark until I buy something for myself. Interesting. And so like, and that's cool, because obviously like you're only buying the like places that you travel to, like traveling to, right? And I know earlier we were kind of like, even before the cameras were rolling, we were talking about like investing in other countries.
And I even had a client hit me up today and was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Because I think the DR and like a lot of other countries, like you talked about earlier, like Colombia and Costa Rica, I believe we were talking about earlier, is like if you invest in these countries, right, they'll give you dual citizenship. You can own the land. You don't pay taxes for a certain amount of time. Like obviously, there's a lot of incentives, but for me, it's just like I'm not gonna like go out and buy a property in an area that I haven't traveled to or I don't know anybody and stuff like that. So obviously there's a lot of risk when you're buying outside of your comfort zone. And for you, obviously, like you're at least buying in areas that you like traveling to that you're probably going to travel to again. So at least you have somewhere to stay when you go, right? And obviously, you know, you're doing short-term rentals and you're getting money on a short-term basis. I know you also chatted earlier off camera too that like sometimes you would have people that book sometimes longer term,
like the nurses. So I love that. So those are more, I think that's more considered like a midterm.
Yeah.
So anything over 30 days. What I do on Airbnb is, in order for me to kind of get more of an ROI. So anything if I see a person that's booking over 30 days and they have like good reviews, what I would do is I'll get all that information, give them a call, I'll give them a discount. And because Airbnb's market fees, even if someone's trying to book for, let's just say $10,000, it will show $10,000, but then like my take home will be like 600 or something, right? So there's like 2,300 just kind of floating.
Right.
So the way I kind of do is like, look, I'll give you guys $1,500 off, and then I'll make an extra, you know, like I said, $500 to like $800. Yeah, it's still a lot of money, regardless. Like
because on your end too, like you get fees on your end, and then honestly for us, like sometimes as consumers when we're booking, fees have gone up too on our end too.
Absolutely.
Like everything's expensive. Yeah.
I'm still making more, and you're saving on the rental.
Booking,
yeah, and especially when it comes down to nurses and in general, they get like a budget, and sometimes they just get cashed out when it comes down to like their budget,
right?
And then they like to pocket on the side as well. So like everyone's winning,
of course. Yeah,
you know, so that's like one of the, like, I love that style just because like you're able to make a lot more. Obviously it kind of goes against some like guidelines, but your whole point when you're on Airbnb is like you're trying to also build like an email list, and you're trying to keep all these numbers so you have return guests that kind of just they book directly with you.
Right.
That was kind of like my whole thing. So I have people texting me all the time like, hey,
you have your own
property.
Yeah, you have a little database of trusted consumers or trusted customers that have come back to you, obviously that have left your place in good shape, that you're, you know, trusting that they're going to do the same in return, and then obviously making you more money, saving them money, obviously. And I mean, that's solid. I mean, I would appreciate that. Like if I was doing a long-term rental with you and you would hit me up and be like, hey, you know, would you rather book with me on the side? I'm obviously, you know, save them some money and then you could get a little bit extra. I mean, that's awesome, man, because like as consumers, like we're obviously, travel's huge right now. And, you know, we're definitely seeing, you know, after COVID that everyone's still trying to get out. Everyone's trying to like kind of make up for lost time, do traveling. And obviously COVID made us realize that shit, we don't have much time.
Yeah.
You know, shit could happen at any time. We can get sick, you know, like tomorrow is a promise for us as humans, you know. So it's like trying to take advantage of the time we do have and going out and doing traveling and stuff like that, which is, I think it's amazing. I think we definitely should, as people, like get out and see the world and do stuff like that. So I think Airbnb has made it that much more convenient, but at the same time, like it was always to kind of like beat out the hotels, right?
Absolutely.
You know, it's got more expensive.
Airbnb has changed a lot. Obviously, I know it's a lot more negative now.
Yeah.
But I think that what's going to happen is when it comes down to the shift of the market, when it comes to like the short-term rental, it's going to be those short-term rentals that the hosts that really go above and beyond.
Oh, of course.
Like, and it's all about an experience.
100%.
That's what it is. It's not about homes anymore. Like homes, hotels got it.
Of course.
They have that unlocked. They have a bed. They have some good pillows. They have a good mattress. They have some running hot water, cold water, and they have some type of people coming to change their sheets.
Right.
They have the hospitality business on lock. But the thing is, now what's happening, since like there's like the hosts that make you clean and vacuum and mop and all this stuff, like it makes no sense.
Right.
It's gonna shift where a lot of those people are gonna fail, thinking that the bare minimum is what's gonna make them an extra $2,000 a month. Where I bet now that they're just breaking even, if not losing money. the people that are building experiences, like you see those homes with like golf courses in the back.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
There's this guy named Elefante that I know. Elefante is a big Airbnb guy. He only has 6 properties and generates over $1 million a year.
Wow.
But his homes has basketball courts, golf courses, arcade rooms. Like, it's literally an experience.
Exactly.
And that's exactly how Airbnb is gonna pretty much shift everything to that type of like niche, just because the people that are just providing a basic experience, not even an experience, just a basic shelter.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah.
Kind of like, once I got scammed, and I went to this property and all the beds were air mattresses.
Oh shit.
I'm like, brother, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, no way. I just paid $331 a night for air mattresses.
Oh, I know.
I got a refund right away.
Yeah.
Went to another spot. But things like that, like, that's the bare minimum. But yeah, you have a nice house, but I was like, bro, no way. I'm a heavy guy. Like, I'm not gonna be in no air mattress. That air mattress will be on the ground.
Yeah, that's like, wake up on the floor.
Yeah, like, it doesn't
all
work that
deflated
way.
and everything. But I mean, you make a really great point, because it is an experience. Like, if you want the bare minimum, you could just go to a random Roach Coach hotel. You know what I mean?
You know, Marriott, it's fine. Like, you'll find something for like under $200 a night.
Right.
Like, and Marriott, a good brand. Like, it's a good, like, you know, you're gonna be taken care of.
Exactly.
And then you also have like the Ritz and stuff, high end. But like, you can get a basic hotel with even a decent experience and breakfast sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and I'm not even really paying the cleaning fee. You're getting your deposit back with an hotel.
Right.
So it's not to bash Airbnb. It's just the people that are doing the bare minimum are going to last.
Exactly. They're going to get weeded out.
I mean, that's why there's so many Airbnbs for sale right now, just because of that reason.
Yeah.
Because obviously they don't have the budget to go above and beyond.
Exactly.
But they only have the budget for just to have some type of shelter.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like, recently, me and Ashley went up to Murphy's, and I love it in Murphy's. Like, for me, that's like one of my favorite escapes. It's only like an hour and a half, 2 hours from here, and a lot of people don't even know about it. It's like a little city stuck in time, and it's up there by Arnold. And if you like wine, they got a lot of wineries up there, a lot of good food. Small little town, but it's super cute. Just makes you feel like you're like in the early 1900s, just because it's a really small town feel. But we stayed at an Airbnb. It was at someone's ranch. It was hella nice, like great views, and they built off this like in-law unit off the side of their house. And dude, they just did it right. Like,
bro, like, you love it. Right. You love it. I bet you loved it. I went into Ensenada, and I was in one of those little globes.
Oh shit!
Bro, that was dope.
Yeah,
I did that for like a Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
I thought you get to see the stars at night.
That's cool.
Same thing, Joshua Tree.
Yeah,
you know, you get to see the stars. You got the hot tubs and stuff, swimming pools outside. One of the craziest places I actually stayed in was in Iceland, middle of nowhere, about 4 hours away from the airport. Rented a car, and I'm talking about pitch black. I got like one of those like A-frame homes.
Oh shit!
I saw the Northern Lights.
Oh, that's sick.
Bro, the best experience of my life.
That's sick.
But
that's cool.
I was willing to rent a car, drive 4 hours away from the airport, middle of nowhere in a place I don't know.
Right.
I'm talking about middle of nowhere.
Right.
No one's around you. There's only one restaurant within a 20-mile radius. And I'm like over here looking at the Northern Lights, like, damn, this is crazy. Like, this is an experience.
Exactly.
And then, like,
exactly.
And bro, they're booked out. They're booked out for months.
Yeah.
But like, those are the people that are gonna win.
Yeah, I always wanted to stay in like those little tree house homes.
Bro, they got some in San Jose.
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro. Some people built them out at their houses. They're like, dude, I've always wanted to stay at one of those. They look hella cool, you know?
Yeah.
Should be chilling up in a tree, wake up, and like,
bro, it's like it's the inner child feeling.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, you know what?
For sure.
I used to do this as a kid, but now I got adult.
Now I got my bank account set up. I can make it happen.
Yeah, bro.
But I mean, I can only assume, and I don't know if you want to share this, because I know we talked about it and you shared the story with me, but like, I know like being the host and having short-term rentals, you know, there's gonna be some vacancies, right? There's gonna be some in-between time, and sometimes people aren't there. You know, you can't be everywhere at once to keep your eyes on every single property. So like, can you talk about some of those risks? Because I know, you know, there's one example that's recent too. So
I actually have two stories. I'll tell you this one first. I was working with a realtor, and he was gonna have like a little 17-day close. Like, his thing is a 17-day close. Yeah. Right. The thing is, one of the contingencies though, that the heater broke, so they had to make sure to fix the heater. On the 15th day, the heater. One of the tech guys came to fix the heater. He's working on the heater, and then as soon as he finished, he's walking outside and he's kind of looking for like a lockbox or something, right? some guys walking by in front of the house. And he's like, oh, oh, how's the house doing? He's like, oh, I'm all done. I was like, are you the owner? He's like, yeah. He gave the guy the key. Pretty much signed on the paperwork, whatever. Went inside. They had their last and final walkthrough, on the 16th day, just to see like everything's looking good. And the doors are locked, no keys to be found. Like, what's going on? Well, we knock, bro. It's like 6, 7 people in the house squatting, and I'm like, you were buying this house or selling this house? No. So we do the social media management. So
so
one
that's
of our
the
realtor clients.
Oh my God.
He was buying a house hack.
Oh no.
And both the units were filled with people just sleeping on the ground.
Oh my God.
And they were like,
and the technician for the water heater was the one who handed the key off to these people?
Yes.
Damn.
Bro, it was one of the worst experiences ever.
Shit.
And it's like, call the police. They said they won't be able to come till the next day, things like that.
But this is locally?
This is Oakland.
Oh,
it's Oakland, bro. And it was, we didn't know what to do. And I've dealt with squatters before. I'll tell the other story after. But with this specific scenario, like sometimes I just took it in my own hands and said whatever. And 3 a.m. pulled up, and that's it. Like I was like, hey, you guys have to get out. But in different terms, right? Yeah. But it was more of like, you guys all have 5 minutes to get out, and pretty much just scared them out. And then next morning, I gave a call to the client like, hey, like the house is free.
Got you.
House is free. Like, we're not, because the client's about to lose out on deposit, things like that. Like, and he did it. $5,000 is better than losing a $5,000 mortgage for the next 3-4 months.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
California is so tenant friendly that it's just like something that matters into your own.
You have to, because by the time you take these people to court, by the time like you even go in front of a judge,
even more money. If anything, I'll be more upset at my time wasted. Especially if, let's say you have a job. Like, let's say this is someone's first investment. Like, you're just getting sour taste to everybody. Exactly. Like, and just, you know what? Like, I had some connections and we got people out. Another crazy story for Airbnb is that it's actually happened a couple weeks ago. I think it was a story that I told you.
Yeah.
Had a guest pull up, and I had check-in at 4 p.m. I get a message from Airbnb saying like your reservation was canceled, and I was like, what happened? And then I was reading the notes and it said double booking. I was like, I have no double booking. Like, what's going on?
Interesting.
And the double booking, I was like, I also have another platform called VRBO, so that's another short-term rental.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, bro, this house is clear. Hey, well, what's going on? I call my neighbor. She goes. And she's like, there's a naked buff guy, and I just answered the door. And I'm like, what is going on? It's like 4:45 in the afternoon. It's already getting kind of dark now. Yeah. And I'm like, no way I'm about to get squatted on right now.
Oh my God. And during the holidays?
Bro, exactly.
Oh, hell no.
And so I call the police. Same thing. Same exact thing happened. It's like, we can start the process tomorrow.
We'll get there when we get there.
Exactly. Bro, I pull up with some friends and literally had them out within 30 minutes. And it's just, sometimes you just have to this is the things you have to deal with, first of all. Yeah. Right? Obviously, like you said, like, you can't be in all places at all times.
It's not going to be all rainbows and unicorns.
Absolutely not.
Easy and to make all this money.
But not everyone is willing to be in an uncomfortable position like I am. Whereas, like, you know what? Like, this is obviously my business, and I'm not just going to sit around and wait and just, because each week is like almost $1,000, $2,000 like that you're almost missing out on. Right? So literally each day counts.
Exactly.
And having just to be on vacant for the next 3 weeks until someone figures out something, like, it wasn't going to happen. I have a booking in the next 2 days. Like, that was a 2-day booking. I was like, probably like, $900, and I was about to have another $2,200 booking. I'm like, no way you're about to ruin my money.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I had that guy kicked out, and there you go. Booking next day. And everything's been smooth since. But
have you ever had any incidents where like the people that booked through like Airbnb have done some like crazy shit at the houses? Because I mean, it's funny because
my second Airbnb.
Yeah, I be hearing shit all the time, like how people treat homes and like just like it's like, dude, it's like things that you couldn't even imagine.
Bro, to Emerville, I had a same thing, 1-bedroom apartment that I was subleasing, and so my last guest, and I dealt with 3 guests like kind of similar to this, not to this extent, but this is like the craziest story. but it was, the last 3 guests I had at that location, it was just like kind of very similar. But the last person I had checked in at 11 p.m. And Airbnb, they don't pay you out to the next day. So I was like, dang it, like, it was very sketch. But obviously I didn't have that much experience. I was probably just on Airbnb for like 6 months already. So I didn't have all the experience, but I knew how to navigate a little bit.
Right.
It was day of checkout. Like, they were there for 2 nights. And she was like, she messaged me on the app and said, hey, can I pay you cash for another week? And I said, no. Because when you start accepting cash, that's when you mess up, because now you lose the insurance policy from Airbnb.
Gotcha.
You know, so now that's on you.
Right.
And then, but then if they pay you cash, you know, they're obviously turning into a tenant.
Correct.
You know, state of California.
Yep.
So so it was already 12 o'clock, checkout was 11, and I didn't hear from them. And I'm like, brother, here we go. Like, what's going on?
Shit.
No response. I was in Mexico, or in Tulum, and there's nothing I can do. So I call up some friends. I'm like, hey, can you go check on my property real quick? Oh, the cleaners show up. Sorry. Cleaners show up, knock on the door. They open the door and they say, sorry, like it's already rented. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like no. And like, I'm here to clean. I'm here to clean for Moises.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we were paying him cash to stay for another week. And they're like, no. He said no.
Yeah.
So I called some of my boys, pretty much went to the property, and it was like about 4 guys and like about 2 girls in there. And I'm not sure what they were doing, but there was blood all over the walls, blood on the sheets, black tar on the sheets, needles everywhere. Those rubber bands that they use at the hospital where you're injecting, all over the place.
Oh,
bro, I went to the store, ended up putting bags all over me. I put even the toilet gloves, plumber gloves, all that. Yeah. And just because, you know,
you never know.
Yeah. I threw away absolutely everything that was in that house. Oh my
God.
Threw away everything in the house, and literally, that's it. That was the last time I managed with that property.
That's fucking crazy.
That property was making so much money though at first, and it was a slow season. And this is one of the things that obviously I learned through Airbnb, and also because of trial and error. But when you start marketing your property at a lower price range, because that property was like, it was roughly around $200 a night. I brought it down to $149 or like $139 just so I can get it booked up a little bit faster, just because it was slow season.
Right.
And obviously attracted a different clientele.
Correct.
And that's the downfall. And not all bookings are good bookings. And that's why I say sometimes too, like when we get like new clients for like the Airbnb management, is that sometimes they like other people's methods when it comes down to like management companies that manage other Airbnbs, they just like to drop the price and just have it booked. But the thing is, you're dealing with a lot of turnover and different clientele and cheaper clients that expect more, but they're paying less. And then they're breaking stuff and like they're throwing parties and stuff. And it's just things that you just don't want to deal with. And it's because you're dealing with a different clientele.
Correct.
And that's one of the hardest parts one of the hardest parts that I had to deal with when it came down to understanding like not all good money is good money. And not all clients are, you know, supposed to be your clients and things like that. Yeah. And everyone has a client, but that for me, it was kind of like, I didn't understand it until afterwards. I'm like, wow, it's because of this type of clientele. And it happened to me again on a very smaller scale, just dealing with someone that checked out like 4 hours late. But same thing, it's cheaper client. I'm like, it makes sense. Yeah. That type of clientele, it's always I always trigger to trouble. It's always gonna be trouble.
And it's probably younger demographic too, like people who are on a budget or like.
So just people with budgets in general. Yeah. And you know, they're just out there just trying to get, you know, $1 or try to get free stays. I even have people that will take out a hair, put it on the pillow, and like, hey. And then Airbnb, Airbnb is very.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Airbnb is a very. It goes to the consumer. They're protecting the consumer a lot more than the host. And so obviously, like when it comes down to things like that, I already have proof. Like when when the cleaners take pictures, like you can't really zoom in on the pillow, you know, like that much. But you know, just things that you have to deal with all the time.
That's crazy.
All the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, no risk, no reward, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
No risk, no reward.
I feel like over the years as well, like, you know, my risk tolerance has obviously been able to kind of go a little higher than usual. You know, I don't have kids, no family, nothing like that. You know, I live on my own over here in the Bay Area. So it's like, for me, it's like, you know, I'm willing to try out different avenues when it comes down to at least like my risk tolerance. But yeah, like you said, like no risk, no. I say I have a little mouse pad that's about this big, and it says no risk, no Rari. And so that's kind of like my motto when it comes out to things like, you got to go all in.
You have to. Yeah, I think that's the only way you learn. Obviously, like for you, like you wouldn't, without all these experiences and like going through some of these obviously issues that you wish you wouldn't have had to go through, but like now it's obviously made you a little bit more wiser, right? And like now, you know, like I'm not gonna just drop my price and get it booked up just because I want to be able to not have like, you know, more vacancy. You know, just be able to have it rented, but at the same time, obviously with that, you attract a different clientele.
Absolutely.
Opens it up for more issues for you, and obviously for your next bookings too, because if you got people trying to sit there, squat, you're checking out late, and you got someone else showing up, your cleaner's got to be in there at a certain time. It's very calculated,
Absolutely.
right? So like if, you know, you got to just obviously be very conscious of that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that goes with like relationships, business, all that. The type of people that you're kind of attracting as well. I was like, you know, you don't want to have business with everybody.
Nah. Yeah. It took me a few years to really understand that. Like when I first came into the business, I was like, I'm trying to help everybody. And then I had to really realize that that's not the best strategy.
Absolutely.
And, you know, because sometimes, you know, obviously like I want to be able to help everybody, but not everybody, I believe deserves to work with me. Or, you know, at the same time, like, you know, I only want to work with people who want to work with me. So like, at the
same values, understanding each other. Same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a partnership, right? Like it's a relationship business for me. And so like, if, you know, I want to only work with people that respect me or willing to listen to me, because I don't want to work with anybody who's not willing to take my advice. Or, you know, I've built this, you know, these last 8, now going on 9 years. And for me, it's like, you know, I have a lot to offer my clients, and I have a lot, you know, to do, you know, more than anything, like I care about my clients. I want them obviously to win. I want them to have the best experience, but like I can't have that experience with my clients if they're not willing to listen. They're not willing to meet me halfway. And at the same time, if they're not willing to respect me and take my advice, you know, so, but it just goes along with, you know, being mature and learning and making mistakes and all that shit. And for me, it's like, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning.
But those are the best things,
and those,
making mistakes.
And like, and even in your case too, like I've dealt with squatters, I've sold houses in the hood, I've dealt with it all, man. I literally had to like, you know, make friends with like the homies in the neighborhood, because those were the guys that were hanging on the block, and those are the guys that were gonna look after my listing, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So like, you know, even taking care of people in the neighborhood and making them know like, hey man, like I respect y'all, I know you guys are out here, I know this is your hood and this is your town or whatever it is, but like just do me a solid, you know, make sure, you know, can you guys do me a favor and not hang out in front of the house, especially when we're doing showings or we got an open house or whatever, you know, just being able to like you know, humble yourself, and at the same time understand like, you know, it's all about relationship. It's about respecting people, and, you know, just being able to, you know, do the uncomfortable things sometimes, and make those errors in the beginning is really what's going to help you in the long term. And so like a lot of the things I did early on in my career weren't the most tasteful or like the most like easygoing real estate deals. Like in my first year, I dealt with squatters, a bank owned property, just a bunch of shit like for me. So like I got really thrown at a lot of different angles and learned a lot like in my early years. And I think that's just made me a much more stronger agent now in going on 9 years in this business now. So like, you know, obviously I have a lot of wisdom to bestow on like my team and my agents that work with me, because I don't want them to recreate the wheel. I always tell people like, you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. So it's like understanding about like where you've been and humbling yourself and understanding like, you know, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be the same, but like obviously you've gone through those hard, you know, transactions or those difficult times, exactly, to now make sure that you're a little bit more better equipped to like do better.
Yeah, and I think you said some real stuff right there, just because, and this goes to the audience too, that people's experiences, like you said, you got 9 years of experience in dealing with all that. Like if you're looking to work with someone, like work with someone that's been through all that, you know,
for sure, because
you know what to look for. Like you use, like, I mean, I say it as algorithms, but you probably see it as a form of algorithm. Like if you see, like, for example, like areas or some type of properties and having like specific details that that you see it as like, oh, you know what, this is probably like a bad deal. Like you can see it. If I walk in, I'm gonna be like, oh, this probably looks like a good home. But then you come through and you tell me like, oh no, bro, this is a Mickey Mouse. Like, look at this, or look at this. Like, you just have different eyeballs than I do.
It's funny, you call it Mickey Mouse too. I call it Mickey Mouse too. So, people are like, huh? You're like, yeah, because you get an eye for it.
And
you start
experience is so important. You know, it is so important when it comes down to like when you're working with anybody, anybody, in the business field. Is like the more experience they have, they probably know more than you.
Oh, for sure.
And it's once you get into that position of understanding, like you know what, I may not know anybody, and you might talk to someone that's been in the business for 50 years, and you're still learning.
Exactly.
But you're learning from his trials and his errors and where he fucked up at, and like what he was doing. And so like the more fuck ups you have, the better you're gonna be.
Of course.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think that's all it is. Like, you got to be willing to take the risks. You got to be willing to listen to others.
I like to say you seek comfort in discomfort.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And like, you know, stuff is not always going to be easy. You know, sometimes it might be painful now, but in the end result, it's going to bring you pleasure because you went through, you know, that, you know, you had to go through all those things to have that experience to be able to then enjoy the fruits of your labor later. Absolutely. So it's like, if you're not going through painful things now, if you're not really, you know, feeling like maybe this is not the right thing for you, or like second guessing yourself, like I always said, like if you're in a situation where like now you're thinking about getting another job or doing something different, then you're probably in that uncomfortable like zone where like you got to just push through it, because at the end of the day, like you're gonna feel that much more gratified that you went through that experience. You know what I mean? That you pushed yourself. And I always like, for me, I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan. I'm a huge Laker fan. So like for me, like Mamba mentality is everything. Like, you know, I mean, shit, like just be able to push yourself, go through those uncomfortable times in your life and just really kind of like grind it out and get a little bit better each day. It's just at the end of the day, you're going to be able to offer your clientele, the people around you that much more. And I think that's why people gravitate towards you, is because not only that you're more knowledgeable, but at the end of the day, like you've gone through it, you understand it, and you're able to then also provide some insight into how to kind of finagle those certain situations, or
they only help you become people. A better leader too.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're just more self-aware. And I think that's just one of those things where a lot of people lack is actually working on themselves when it comes down to like self-awareness and stuff.
Yeah.
If you could lock in that self-awareness game, it's a wrap.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're just more open-minded when you're listening to people talk, and then you're learning how to communicate with different styles of people. Because not everyone is going to understand the same way, but when you're in that position of like just being aware of like everyone is different, so you know, just kind of just understanding how other people are. Like when you have that and you're able to just to dictate within the first 5 minutes of a phone call or first 5 minutes of just meeting up with a client, you're able to kind of understand how to take them and if they need to be handheld, things like that. And it just is a communication style. Oh, 100%. And so yeah, like I feel like even you have that on lock.
Yeah, it's taking a minute. It's taking a minute for sure, and it's all about just going through those experiences. You know, being in those uncomfortable situations, failing sometimes, and then for me, it's like I'm a big critic of myself. Like if I'm not doing something, like I try to push myself harder, and I always try to say like, well, what could have you done to do better? Like, or you know, always learning from my mistakes more than anything. Like when I fuck up, obviously it hurts. Like I'm like, sometimes like it'll take me like a day or two to be like, get over it. But then I'll be like, reflect back on it and be like, I could have done this. Yeah. And next time I will do that. You know what I mean? And now like being in those situations now prepares me for another situation I might come across. And then I'm able to shed insight on that. Yeah.
Like as men too, we have like this ego that gets in the way. Yeah. So just being able to put that to the side and like, you know what? I fucked up.
Oh, we have to.
Yeah.
You have to, because it'll eat away at you, and then you'll never be able to move past it. And you know, I think once you do, you're gonna feel that much more better, knowing that okay, yeah, I did make a mistake, and now I know how to address it. And when I come across that mistake, that situation again, I'll be able to better navigate that conversation or that time where I felt uncomfortable, or maybe I said something I shouldn't have said, or maybe my client asked me something I don't know how to answer, whatever it is, right? Now you kind of have an idea of how to, you know, navigate that certain interaction, or just be able to know how to address it and not feel overwhelmed because you've already been there. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of just understanding the waters. I mean, obviously the water sometimes may get rocky, but it's being able to just kind of navigate through it and push through. Like every situation is going to be different. I always tell my clients too, it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster ride. You know what I mean? It might be a little kiddie roller coaster. It might be a big ass roller coaster, like, you know, but like at the end of the day, you know, at the end, you know, I'm going to be there right there next to you when we get off and get on the ride. So it's like, we got to go through the ride, go up through the ups and downs, and we're going to make sure that, you know, we come out victorious on the other side, because, you know, everyone's different. People are different, and we're dealing with different people and different transactions all the time. So
yeah, absolutely.
So
I think I might get a little personal on this one, but even then, when it comes down to like trial and errors and just dealing with life in general,
100%.
like, you know, I got my mom that's battling cancer. I got, you know, just dealing with business in general, the economy, all that. Like, yeah, I have all these things kind of just always hitting my plate. And at the end of the day, though, like, you still gotta show up for yourself at the end of the day and still be that example for the team. And as long as you know that every decision that you're making is not to harm anybody, to kind of just, you know, put someone down, if it's always, you know, truly from the heart and genuine, then, you know, obviously, you know, you're always gonna, you know, you'll make it up top. But as long as your intentions are always kind of pure when it comes down to any type of relationships, I see it as, regardless of where you're at, if you feel like you lost clients or like wherever you're at, if you feel like it's so negative, as long as your intentions are pure, I just feel like you'd be able to take it to the next level, just because you're in that mode of like the self-awareness, and you're just killing it, you know. And that's just personal life, because when you're working on yourself, like your temple, the people you're having a conversation with, like, you start attracting those type of people. And then like that's how it kind of becomes like what they say, like niche. Like you start kind of figuring out who your demographic is, and you know, these are the people that fuck with me. Like obviously we have the same vision. Like we can have conversation for 3 to 4 hours straight. Like, and those are the people that obviously is like, oh, you get me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why, like, not every client is probably a good client. Like, that's why I say also, like, not all money is good money, because there's always someone for you. It's just, you know, figuring out where you're at.
I can't agree with you more, bro. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the nose. I think that's a great way to end this. You know, I think, you know, we've talked a little bit about everything, but I think that was kind of the nail on the episode right there, that just kind of sealed the deal right there, because obviously, like, that's all it's about. That's what life's about.
Everyone has a sad story.
Yeah, no, for sure. We all go through shit. We all go through shit. Everyone, you know, you never know what people are going through. You know what I mean? Someone's life may be worse than yours. You know, like I always say, things could be worse. You know, you gotta look at the bright side. I've always been a glass half full kind of guy. So for me, it's like, I'm always trying to be as optimistic as I can. You know, take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a shot of tequila, but at the end of the day, you know, life's gonna come at you fast. We don't have tomorrow guaranteed. Gotta show up. You gotta be positive. You gotta live your life, man, because tomorrow isn't promised. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I appriciate you, bro. Thank you again for jumping on. Pleasure having you. This was episode 43 I'm over here getting tongue twisted already. Too much tequila this morning. We actually started drinking hella early today. But yeah, I mean,
Tequila, having me.
Episode 43, Tequila Transactions, man. Really honor and pleasure to have you here. And, you know, last thing I really always like to end these series of videos on is, where do people find you? How do they follow you? And lead off there.
My Instagram is Go on the Lens. That's pretty much where you can just, you know, contact me and all that. I got a bio, got a Calendly link if you're looking for like any social media help. I am coming out with some crazy stuff this year.
Can't wait to see it.
Can't wait to share.
Yeah, 2024 is gonna be bigger and better, man.
Absolutely.
It's only gonna get better here on out. So.
Oh yeah, thank you.
All right, bro. Cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers. Oh.
Boy.
Yeah, I don't have any more.
There you go. Nice, bro.